Hi, everybody. Attention, please. We will start in 5 minutes. So, yung Hello? Hi, good morning. Pwede po tayong umupo muna. Can we all take a seat now? Oh, live art.
Magandang umaga.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yun lang pala
Lang pala
sa
sa sabihin ko.
Just to explain what these artworks are in front, these are the products of our artists. Later, ipapaliwanag nila, but just if you're wondering bakit nagbebenta ba kami ng artwork, hindi po. These are representations of the discussions that we've had the past 2 days. So, for this session, meron pa ba? Meron pa, no? At ito yung magiging pinakamaganda kasi nandito ako. Hindi, joke lang. Sige. So, and then kanina, niloop namin yung mga artworks. Some of the artworks that were published in PCIJ, and they were illustrations by Luigi, our artist. Luigi, tumayo ka naman dyan. Ayan. And then later, magpapaliwanag pa sila tungkol dito sa kanilang mga creations. So maraming salamat. Inutusan kasi ako ni Ed, so ibibigay ko na sa kanya.
Di ba inutusan niyo lang ako dito? Ay, magandang umaga. Ako yung inyong tormentor ngayong umaga. Pero awa ng Diyos, hindi naman the whole time kasi I'm just the moderator. We will have a panel of 4 talking about the state of press freedom in the Philippines. So we have it for 2 hours, and I'd like to think we're going to have a very colorful discussion. Kasi I don't know if you agree with me, but let me start with something like this. In the last administration, our ethics has been put into question as journalists. Our profession was ridiculed. Our very existence was put to the test. The popular, teka, I need my glasses pala. Kukunwari kasi. So the popular catchphrase then was, mabuti na lang may social media, walang kwenta ang mainstream media kasi. Hindi na ako nanonood ng TV, hindi na ako nagbabasa ng dyaryo. Facebook na lang at TikTok. People now seem unable to make the distinction between fact and opinion, news and commentary, mainstream media, and social media. That was the Duterte administration. And now comes the Marcos administration. After the 2022 elections, we have had to take a step back and reassess what we had done, what we could have done, and what we should have done. All because of the comeback of a political family that 3.5 decades ago was almost incomprehensible and unimaginable. And now the sun sits in Malacanang. And now we have the appearance of amity. After the fire and brimstone of Rodrigo Duterte comes the diplomacy and the comforting baritone of BBM. My question to you guys, and I think I'd like to ask this of our panel as well, is are we better off now? Are we really better off now? Are we fooling ourselves? Is there something happening underneath? Or are we just settling for what, after the last 6 years of Duterte, now seems like the lesser evil? So, don't know if you agree with me or not, but I'm putting that question up for anybody to discuss later on. We have a panel of 4 for this morning. Let's bring them in. Let's try to have this as an informal discussion. Not discussion, conversation. Let's have a conversation among friends and colleagues. We have Anna Lomtadzi of UNESCO. Ma'am. Of course, we have Len Olea, NEJP. We have Weng Paraan of PCIJ. And si Impacta. Yun, si Ariel Sabelino ng PPI. Okay. So we have 4 victims for this morning. We'll ask them to talk for a bit first. Talk about what they want to talk about as far as the state of the media is concerned. And then let's talk among ourselves. We'll open it to the floor. Okay? Can we start with Ana?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Ana Lomtadze. I'm from UNESCO Jakarta office, which also covers the Philippines. Very happy to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation, Ms. Wang and Carmela. Congratulations on this very impressive event. Actually, I will not dwell too much myself talking about the state of press freedom in the Philippines, because I believe speakers after me are way more competent and experienced to discuss this. But I just want to, first of all, take a moment actually to remember your quote, Ed, this is the surprise, which is, we have been scared for a long time, but we're still here. And so at the outset, I would like to thank you all for still being here. Today I will talk about some of the resources or initiatives that UN, and specifically UNESCO as the specialized agency of the UN in charge of promoting press freedom and safety of journalists, offers, and how they are relevant to you. I will first start with the recent visit of the UN Special Rapporteur on freedom of expression and opinion, Ms. IJcon, who was here from 23rd of January to 2nd of February. At the invitation of the Philippine government, actually. And she has released just now some preliminary observations based on her meetings with civil society, the media, based on her visits to different cities. She also was able to visit in prison the journalist, Ms. Frenchy. These preliminary observations are very important because you can actually use them in your own reporting or advocacy efforts. There is some time between now and until June when she will be making a formal report and submit it to the UN Human Rights Council. And so there is some time now to advocate based on her recommendations for increased press freedom and right to information, so that actually in her final report, she can reflect some of the initiatives or changes that the government may be willing to take. So let me just go through some of the recommendations very quickly. Of course, it starts by acknowledging the widespread practice of red tagging. And she actually makes 3 concrete recommendations to address red tagging. One is recommending an executive order from the government denouncing the practice and setting out clear measures that discourage, disincentivize, and discipline those who violate this policy. The second is she supports some of the steps taken by CHR, National Human Rights Commission, to actually define red tagging and identify concrete steps and propose a legislation to prevent it. And third, she recommends abolishing the National Task Force to end local communist armed conflict. Then some of the other recommendations include actually establishing a dedicated special prosecutor for crimes against journalists and human rights defenders. She acknowledges that although the government has made some positive steps, even PT Forms has made some positive steps, still she says that there doesn't seem to be sufficient institutional capacity, proper systems, or a clear policy framework on the protection and safety and prevention of attacks on journalists. Final recommendations she makes are a bit more, let's say, technical or of legal nature. For example, she acknowledges that the procedures in the Philippines to form a broadcast media are very cumbersome, and there's also no clear rules aimed at limiting the disproportionate influence of a single person or entity on media. So this has to do with media ownership and concentration. Another recommendation she makes is to support the implementation of the Philippine Plan of Action on the Safety of Journalists, which Ms. Wang will talk about in a moment. You should all be very proud because this is indeed the very first ever national plan of action that has been modeled after the original UN plan of action on the safety of journalists and the issue of impunity that is being coordinated by UNESCO. And then the final two, or I would say three recommendations, again, more legal. One have to do with the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020, which he recognizes has been misused against journalists, human rights defenders. And there is specifically a concern about the Anti-Terrorism Council allowing to arrest individuals designated as terrorists without first obtaining a judicial warrant. And this is clearly against international standards. Another legislation that she says requires amendment is, of course, libel. All international standards on freedom of expression recommend abolishing criminal defamation and only resorting to civil charges against defamation. But even then, we have to be careful that civil charges do not have disproportionate punishments. For example, disproportionately high fines that would eventually end, say, a news outlet. And then finally, she recommends a comprehensive and functioning law on rights to information. There's a recognition that during the previous administration, an executive order was issued for right to information regarding government institutions, but there's also recognition that this is not entirely sufficiently functional, and there's overly broad or vaguely framed exemptions. And so she encourages a kind of comprehensive right to information legislation, including civil society and media, and the process of defining it. So as I said, please take a look at the preliminary observations. It's available online, and there's quite some time to act on these from the government between now and June, end of June of this year, 2024. Another tool for advocacy is, of course, the World Press Freedom Day, which we are going to start celebrating this afternoon and tomorrow. This day was initiated by UNESCO in 1993 to really keep press freedom and freedom of expression on the international agenda. And in every country, I think, parallelly today, it's celebrated in at least 50 countries around the world. So you are joining this kind of global celebration. And it's used as a way to really reflect on the challenges and opportunities for public interest media, but also as a tool for advocacy vis-a-vis government agencies and for civil society to come together. In the Philippines, it's called the Media Safety Summit, and it has specific purpose, which is also to discuss the plan of action on the safety of journalists that was initiated in 2018, and to update it in light of recent challenges, including technological advancements, economic downturn, journalism education needs, etc. Ms. Weng will talk about it in more detail, and we really look forward to supporting the follow-up to the summit as well. Which will include more consultations and roadshows with specific stakeholders, government agencies, newsroom owners, wider civil society. A third thing I'd like to mention also is UNESCO's Observatory of Killed Journalists, which monitors killings in every country. And then every year, the Director General of UNESCO directly writes to governments of each country to follow up on the judicial process. And you will see, I mean, there's different numbers, right, in the Philippines, and according to UNESCO, I won't dwell on this, but basically, at least according to the UNESCO Observatory of Killed Journalists, in the past 30 years, 117 journalists have been killed in the Philippines, and only 10 have been resolved. And so every year, the Director General writes to the government to ask about judicial follow-up, and even though, you know, we can be, of course, cynical also about this process, but there is a degree of pressure that is exerted, and especially with this administration, who is very open and interested in international recognition, I hope that it is somewhat of a significant tool. And again, I encourage you to visit the official website of the Observatory of Killed Journalists and use it in your reporting, in your advocacy, etc. And two final things, and then I will be done, I promise. One is so UN Joint Program on Human Rights in the Philippines. This was launched in 2020 or 2021, following a Human Rights Council resolution in 2020, to essentially address the impact of the war on drugs during the previous administration. And so it includes different areas of work to improve drug control, like approach drug control from human rights-based perspective, to enhance law enforcement, judiciary, prosecutor's office, Commission on Human Rights. So UNESCO is also engaged in this, and I'll just highlight one action. We are working with the Commission on Human Rights and with other CSOs to actually work with law enforcement on the safety of journalists. And I recognize some of the participants here who were part of our work with the PNP. So what we do is, for many years, we've been supporting and are still supporting safety of individual journalists through trainings, right, safety trainings. But we've realized that in order to make any kind of sustainable change, you need to engage with law enforcement, with the judiciary, also with newsroom owners, something we hope to do in the future. And so as part of UNJP, we have a methodology where we bring together journalists and police officers for 3 to 4 day training for kind of joint exercises and dialogue, discussing very practical things on how to guarantee safety of journalists during riots, how to facilitate election coverage of crises. And so over 100 police have been trained on this, and we've been very lucky that they have accepted for us to propose dedicated curricula for PNP training units on one for all media personnel, all police personnel on the safety of journalists, and another a specialized course for public information officials and spokespeople of the police. And we hope in this process of developing these courses that we will engage with some of you to also get perspective from the media on what these courses should cover. And you know, this is like very long-term work, but my hope is that if or when there is political will, there will be then resources in place, educational resources, institutional resources, to actually guarantee safety of journalists, and that can make a real difference to your work, I hope. And then finally, I'd just like to bring to your attention two possibilities from UNESCO to apply for grants. One is the Global Media Defense Fund, which is an international fund administered by UNESCO since 2021, I believe. And basically, every year we issue a call for proposals that have to do directly with strategic litigation or legal counseling, anything that has to do with enhancing safety of journalists. We're very proud that over 5,000 journalists, 1,500 lawyers, and 200 NGOs around the world have benefited from this fund. And actually in the Philippines, National Union of Journalists in the Philippines was also able to benefit from this fund, I think the second time now. So I would encourage you to check out the website for Global Media Defense Fund and look out for opportunities there. And the final thing is the International Program on Development of Communication, IPDC. This is also a small grant scheme that is open every year, mostly from in the beginning of the year. So for this year, it has closed already. But if you're interested, please approach me after this session, and I'd be happy to share more information about this. The IPDC grants are wider than just safety of journalists. It can cover journalism education, media literacy, media development, etc. That's all on my side, and I look forward to questions, comments, and meeting you all later. Thank you.
Hello? Yeah, there you go. Okay, grants. Grants. Well, the Q&A is supposed to be later, but let me just ask this. The plan of action, where can we find it online? It's on the UNESCO website.
The plan of action or the Philippines?
The Philippine.
There's a dedicated website for it.
Yes, PCIJ.
Okay.
You don't notice. Oh my goodness, that's not good.
Not good, okay.
Not good from the
I should stop crucifying myself. Okay, let's move on to Len Olaya of NUJP.
Yes, thank you. Magandang umaga. Maayong buntag
Printed
sa
copies.
tanan.
Okay. I'll submit.
All right. I have some slides. This will just be very quick. All right. Okay. Next slide, please. Sorry to pay. All right. We begin with the world ranking. Reporters Without Borders ranked the Philippines as 132nd in World Press Freedom Index last year. And they said that it's actually an improvement, no, from the previous year. And they cited the acquittal of Maria Ressa in the tax case as one of the developments. So it's actually a breather from the former presidency of Duterte, where we always get demonized and subjected to verbal attacks. We've been called as prostitutes, among many other labels. Next. Okay. So where are we now? Ang sabi kahapon no, ng isa nating resource speaker, reveal mo agad. So under Marcos, it's no better, unfortunately. The NUJP, since he assumed the presidency, the NUJP documented 117 incidents of attacks against journalists. And just this morning, we received another incident from Edito Mapayo of Surigao. He was labeled as a drug protector by an anonymous person, individual. So that makes it 118 as we speak now. And the numbers is actually higher compared to the first few months of Duterte. So we compare the first 22 months of Duterte to the first 22 months of Marcos, and it's actually 39% higher. So numbers don't lie. Next, please. And 4 of our colleagues have already been killed. Renato Blanco in September 2022, Percy Mabasa on October 3, 2022, Chris Bondokin of Oriental Mindoro on May 31, and Juan Humalon on November 5, 2023. While the gunmen on the killings of Percy Mabasa and Juan Humalon have been arrested, the masterminds are still free. Next slide, please. Impunity is a lingering problem, and UN Special Rapporteur Irene Khan stated this during her visit early this year, that the killing of journalists is the most egregious form of censorship, and the Philippines remains to be a dangerous place. So the mechanisms of the Philippine government are not enough to address impunity. Next, please. The Committee to Protect Journalists, or CPJ, in its impunity index last year, also ranked the Philippines as 8th in the Global Impunity Index. And we have been in that index for the past 16 years. According to PCIJ report, in 2022, only 11% resulted in convictions. And many of the cases have not even reached the courts because of many, many factors. Next slide, please. Lawfare, or the use of laws to intimidate and harass journalists, is very common in the Philippines. Frenchie May Cumpio, journalist in Tacloban, is still in jail over trumped-up charges. So, 4 na taon na nakakulong si Frenchie. At ang nakakagalit dito, we all know that the charges are all fabricated. UN Special Rapporteur Irene Khan called for the review of her cases, and the cases should be dismissed, or for, at the very least, speed up the trial on the case of Frenchie. Similar incidents such as the arrest and detention of Ann Kruger, Lady Ann Salem, is IC here? IC is out, IC, the cases against IC have been dismissed because these are fabricated, but the Philippine government is still challenging the decision of the lower court. It has even reached the Supreme Court. Ann Kruger is still is out on bail, so the charges against her are still active and not yet dismissed. Margarita Valle of Davao City was arrested by the police at the Laguindingan Airport 2 years ago, and the police said that, oh, it's a case of mistaken identity. And when Ging Valle filed counter-charges, the ombudsman dismissed the cases against the arresting officers. Next slide, please. libel laws are used. Ayan. Hello, Kuya Frank. Based on NUJP monitoring, at least 50 journalists are facing libel and cyber libel. We think this is still a conservative estimate because some of our colleagues have not reported that they have received libel charges. And one of them, Darcy Galicia, 978 counts of cyber libel filed by the Quezon governor. Fortunately, the case against Darcy and another colleague have already been dismissed, but Frank was convicted. And the decision is still on appeal. Majority of the complainants are local politicians, 61.5%. In the case of Kuya Frank, former Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol filed a case against him over a Facebook post, not even an article, a Facebook post, a satirical post. Other complainants include government offices, private individuals, police officers, and religious group. Ito yung Kibuloy na kila Ma'am Day. Fortunately, dismissed naman yon so far. Next, please. Cyber censorship is becoming a trend in the region. And in the Philippines, medyo nangunguna tayo sa cases ng cyber censorship in the form of distributed denial of service attacks. So it started with alternative media groups, sa Bulatlat, Altermedia ko daw, in 2018, 2019. But during the heat of the elections in 2022, many news outfits have also been targeted with DDoS. So, ayan, si Kong, sabi pa niya nung una, nagbibiro siya, bakit kayo daw dinididos, kami hindi? Oh, be careful what you wish for. Lo and behold, the Mindanao Gold Star Daily was subjected with DDoS. And there are other forms of cyber attacks, which include defacing the website or hacking or bringing it down. And in the case of Bulatlat and Pinoy Weekly, we have instituted mitigation against DDoS. And so they changed their tactic and instead, the National Telecommunications Commission issued a memorandum to block our websites on the mere allegation that we are terrorist-friendly. Imagine, terrorist-friendly daw kami. Without providing any evidence, not even a single document to prove their claims. And that is still with the courts. So we challenged the memorandum, we filed a case, and the case is not yet resolved after 2 years. So it's been 2 years since the order. Next slide, please. Well, we have heard so many positive pronouncements from the President himself that he will uphold press freedom and he will protect journalists. But unfortunately, if you look at the 118 incidents of attacks, the types of violations during the last few months of Duterte are also the same in the first few months of Marcos. And one of that is red tagging. So we recorded 21 incidents of red tagging against journalists. Sorry for the typo. Ang daming editors dito. And media organizations. And of course, we cannot stress the psychological toll that it has brought to our colleagues. It's like having anong tawag dun sa target shooting? No? Bullseye, no? Pag naglalakad ka na di mo alam kung it's been used as a justification to attack us, no? And in most cases in the Philippines, many human rights defenders have been killed, jailed, arrested, or surveilled after they were red tagged. Frenchie May Cumpio, for one, has been red tagged. She has been called an NPA high-ranking official. despite the fact that she has a regular radio program in Tacloban City. So, yung dangers that come with red tagging are very, very serious. So, we're not taking it very lightly. Itong leaflet na ito, andyan yung pangalan ni Kong Corrales. So, this was distributed in public places in Cagayan de Oro. Next slide, please. Medyo mag-ano naman tayo, overview. As Sir Ed mentioned, no, the media industry is suffering financially, especially since the pandemic. And the shutdown of ABS-CBN has lingering effects not only on press freedom, on journalists, but even with the revenues of many media outfits. And when CNN Philippines closed down early this year, they also said that the shift in the advertising from print and traditional media or even TV to the digital platforms have had severe impacts on the industry. Next slide. But of course, ang mas nakaka-alarm dito ay yung impact niya sa ating civic spaces, no? The shrinking plurality in the media landscape, the loss of multiple sources of verified information for the public and community. Ito yung masakit, no? After the shutdown of ABS-CBN, the Freedom for Media, Freedom for All network stated that the impact of actual closure darkened newsrooms everywhere as owners of media companies and journalists realized that they could be just as vulnerable to the same kind of attack. TV news became more careful about not crossing lines, afraid of causing offense, and keeping away from sensitive stories. And we have witnessed this, especially during the 2022 elections, when many of the media owners told our journalists, our colleagues, to go easy. And we know kung sinong kandidato yung pinapatungkulan nila doon, to go easy with that candidate. And he won the elections. Next slide, please. We all know about this, but it's different when we actually document the economic conditions of our colleagues. According to 2021 survey, we hope to update this year. The average salary of journalists range from 16,000 to 25,000. So that's below the family living wage of about 22, I think. 30 plus thousand pesos a month. A similar survey by PCP, as nila si Tito Jimmy, 27% of respondents said they get 30,000 a month or only 2,500. And 75% of the respondents said that they are paid per photo. And 17% of them get less than 300 pesos for each photo use. And we even received a report from a colleague in Bacolod that he's paid only 50 pesos per photo. Next slide. The campus press has not been spared. According to CEGP, and I think this is still low, at least 1,000 cases of campus press freedom violations. And in the past few months under Marcos, we recorded incidents of red tagging, surveillance by state security forces, censorship, non-collection of publication fees, among others. Yung mga taga Bicol dito nasaan? So many campus journalists in Bicol were visited by soldiers. And we also document the same incident with our campus journalist in Baguio. So there's one editor of UP Outcrop, College of Baguio Outcrop. Her family lives in Pangasinan. And she was surprised to know that soldiers visited their homes and talked with the parents. Next slide. Of course, the attacks on the Philippine media form part of deliberate efforts to repress independent and critical voices. We all know that. But we persevere, no, in this profession because we know that our loyalty is to the people. Next slide. So what can we do? We encourage everyone to report and document cases of attacks. So ito yung NUJP hotline. You can record that. So whenever there are incidents of attacks, you can call that a number or send a message to us. We also have a legal safety hotline in case of arrest, if you need a paralegal. We have a team of what we call QRT. Irene, asan na si Irene, is one of the trained QRT responder. So when Rizal Pajares was arrested, Irene and the team in Bicol reached out to him and responded to the incident. Fortunately, he was released. Ito yung blotter, yung tumingin sa police blotter and he was detained for alleged violation of Data Privacy Act. Next slide, please. Launch campaigns, of course. We need the support of other sectors, not only journalists. So we collaborate with artist groups, cultural groups, human rights groups, etc. And during the visit of Irene Can, we worked with several organizations, including the media organizations here, PPI, FOCAP, PCP, etc. Next slide, please. Organize. As Ate Weng said yesterday, we have to organize ourselves. So you can join NUJP, PCP, PPI, whatever organization. But having the support of an organization is really important. Next slide. Pushback. Ayan, nasan si Kong? Kong filed a case with the National Privacy Commission, no, to push Meta or Facebook to reveal the identities of those who red tagged him. Confidential daw yung proceedings, no, sa ngayon, but that's one legal move. He was supported by the movement against disinformation. And Atom Araulio also filed a civil case against the rabid red taggers. So he said that he's privileged enough to be able to do it, and he's doing it also for the other red tag journalists. So it's still with the court. Next slide, please. It's also important that we form and strengthen partnership with other sectors and organizations. So in the past years, we have developed links with digital rights advocates. Asan si Ellie? Access Now. Ellie, are you here? That provides support whenever we are targeted with different forms of cyber attacks. You can approach her. And with Curium Media Foundation, the nonprofit Swedish-based who does forensic investigation into cyber attacks. We also partnered with lawyers groups. So we have an existing partnerships with IBP, Ideal, Center Law, MSU Legal Clinic, NUPL, among others. So if there are members who need lawyers, you can approach us so we can refer your cases with these lawyers groups. Next slide, please. I would like to end this presentation with Nonoy Espina's words because I think it's still relevant and it inspires us to continue. The press is not free because it is allowed to be. It is free because it insists on being free. Marami pong salamat.
Hello. Thank you, Len. Bigla akong nalala si Nonoy. Inom tayo mamaya. Sorry. Weng Parano, PCIJ.
Okay. Magandang umaga. Akala ko kasi parang conversation lang.
We'll have a conversation after you guys talk.
But I prepared the PowerPoint.
May PowerPoint naman pala eh.
Sorry. Paki-flash na lang para at least makita nila yung cover ng
So, conversational PowerPoint. There you go.
just the Philippine Plan of Action. Okay, para naman merong show and tell. So the one in the right is the UN Plan of Action. My right, your left. And then the other one is the Philippine Plan of Action on the safety of journalists. Para siyang mapa. So if you're going to the airport, for example, and you want to know how to get there, you look at Google Maps or Waze. So yung Philippine Plan of Action is like a map. No? Ano yung kailangan mo to get there? Kailangan mo ba ng taxi? Kailangan mo mag-bus? Kailangan mo mag-train? So the Plan of Action provides those ano yung mga elements that you need to get yourself to the airport. Meron siyang 5 pillars. Next slide, please. But first, just a description. So, Anna mentioned earlier that it's based on the UN Plan of Action. So the content of the Philippine Plan of Action is anchored on the UN Plan. It's a product of a multi-stakeholder participatory process that took almost 2 years. Hindi siya madali kasi we went around the country talking to military units, local government units. We had local journalists in the dialogue. So ano siya, mahabang proseso. The first meeting actually, we had people from the Department of Labor, from the Department of Foreign Affairs, etc. PNP, the AFP, even PT Foms. So everybody was there. And we got inputs from the different sectors, from different stakeholders. At yun yung produkto nung dun ang galing, and all those dialogues and consultations resulted in the crafting of the Philippine Plan of Action. So it took 2 years. And as Anna said, we should be proud kasi tayo lang as of today ang merong national plan. No, there were other countries who have attempted to craft their own, like Pakistan and Myanmar. But so far, hindi nila kaya kasi ang hirap naman talaga mag-unite. No? And the effort it took para umikot ka at makipag-usap with so many groups and individuals na may iba-ibang perspective. No? Yung iba hindi naman nila naintindihan bakit mahalaga ang media, anong trabaho ng journalist. So it was a long process that ended with the UN Plan of Action, with the Philippine Plan of Action. So ito yung laman niya. Next slide. So there are 5 flagship areas, no. So yung una, integrity and professionalism. Actually, pag tiningnan niyo siya, self-explanatory, no. And you can look it up sa searchable siya and downloadable sa PDF version. Those who will proceed to the Philippine Safety Summit after the IJ conference, I think you will be given hard copies. But available siya online, and this is something that we should all have a copy and also give to our colleagues and even to your sources. No? So, ang flagship areas niya ay integrity and professionalism. So obviously, this is promoting ethical journalism, how to be responsible. So dito papasok yung mga press councils that PPI has been establishing in different areas. This is a vehicle to build public trust and also to encourage accountability, no, on the part of journalists and news organizations. But that's just one part of it, no? Marami pa siya. The next one is conducive working conditions. Sabi nga ni Len, yung sahod, yung the way we are treated, the newsroom policies, even trauma, these are all issues under this area. Ako na-shock ako when I heard from Bohol journalists that radio reporters are paid 14 pesos. So 14 pesos, isang bato mo ng storya. Tinanong ko sila, magkano mag-tricycle? 20 pesos. So kulang pa sa tricycle, di ka pa makakabalik. So ganun kababa. So anong gagawin mo? Magbigay ka ng update, no? Kung maka-update ka ng 10 sa isang nakawan sa pawn shop, at least meron ka 140. No? So, ganun kababa yung sahod ng mga media workers, especially in areas na mahina yung organized, no? Walang masyadong organization existing that would push for the welfare of journalists. The third one is safety and protection mechanisms. Maraming binanggit sila para dyan. No? So these are the alert system, the documentation, the provision of legal services, etc. And even the councils. No? And then the fourth one, the criminal justice system. So dito papasok yung pagre-review ng mga batas, pagpupush no, for changes in policies, etc. Yung sa series of workshops that PCIJ has organized, laging lumalabas yung problema sa Data Privacy Act. No? And how this has been used to curtail the release of information magmula sa mga national offices hanggang sa local, hanggang sa PNP. At yung issue nga ng blotter ngayon na kung saan we had one journalist in Bicol who was arrested, kasama siya doon. No? So, may kasalanan din tayo no, because we seldom monitor what's going on in Congress. And then kung minsan yung batas parang walang kinalaman sa atin, hindi natin masyadong pinapansin. Yes, kasama yan, yung journalist being forced to serve as witness sa mga drug raids. No? And then the fifth is public information, journalism education, and research. So ito yung content ng Philippine Plan of Action. So pag tiningnan natin, it's so comprehensive, parang, kaya ba talaga yan? So hindi naman natin sinasabi that it's something that we can implement within the year, no? But ang kailangan is that we have a blueprint, we have a map that gives us instructions, that give us guidelines on how to promote the safety of journalists. Pag tiningnan natin yung PPASJ, napaka-mouthful niya, pero nasasanay na rin ako. Pag tiningnan natin siya, napaka-comprehensive niya. Hindi lang siya paano umilag sa bala, but it's also to create that enabling environment that would allow journalists to be safe and be able to do their jobs ng maayos, di ba? Nang kompleto ang storya mo, na hindi ka natatakot na meron kang may babalik sa'yo. So yun yung PPASJ. But it's not something that organizations like IJP, PPI alone can implement. Obvious naman, di ba? We need government agencies, we need legislators, we need everybody, yung buong community ng media, para ma-push yung implementation ng Philippine Plan of Action. Hindi siya madali. It will take a long process for it to be embraced by all sectors, even by our colleagues, no? Kasi meron din naman tayong mga kasamahan na hindi naniniwalang may problema sa safety ang mga Filipino journalists. Huwag na nating pangalanan. Kasi kasalanan nyo daw eh. Nakikipag-away kayo sa kapitbahay, may love triangle, kaya kayo hinaharas. Yan. Pero, kailangan yung lahat ng effort para yung Filipino Plan of Action becomes a reality. para makarating tayo sa airport, magmula dun sa kung saan tayo nanggaling. It will not be a few months, a few years, pero we need to start doing it kasi ang naiisip namin, yung mga estudyante, nag-graduate tapos magiging journalist, parang kailangan nating tulungan na para pagdating nila and they start practicing the craft, no, the profession, at least mas maganda yung sitwasyon na aabutan nila. Hindi sila kailangang magtiis sa 14 pesos per story. Hindi sila kailangang matakot na every time they post something, babalikan sila ng trolls, haharas sila, papailan sila ng cyber libel. I think that's the obligation, the responsibility of our generation. Kailangan natin itong gawin, hindi lang not just for us, but for the next generation of journalists. Lagi nating isipin, no, parang katulad din nung sinabi ni Nonoy, rights and freedoms are not given on a silver platter. Wala yan. Kahit sa history ng Pilipinas, sa history ng kahit anong bansa, walang karapatang ibinigay ng kusa. Lagi siyang ipinaglalaban. Pero marami din namang paraan ng paglaban. Hindi naman kailangan lahat ay para tayong Bonifacio na humawak ng itak at magwala. There are many ways of fighting and pushing for safety and press freedom. So kailangan hanapin lang natin kung saan yung pwede nating gawin. Pero ang pinaka-basic, because we are journalists, gamitin natin yung ating mga, kung writer ka, ballpen, kung broadcast ka, yung mic, o kung ano man yung meron tayo, to be able to, let's make the Philippine Plan of Action a reality. Yun pa. Thank you.
Okay.
Ang dami kong binayaran.
Maraming salamat, Weng Paraan, for that conversational PowerPoint. Ikaw, meron kang conversational PowerPoint dyan.
Wala, huwag niyo akong hanapan ng PowerPoint. Wala sa usapan niya.
Ariel Sabrino, PPI.
Thanks, Ate Charo. Oy, salamat kay Weng tsaka kay Len. Yun talagang presentation ko. Oy, good morning. Ariel po ako sa PPI. Mga seminarista, familiar faces. Oy, pero seriously balikan natin yung tanong ni Ed kanina sa umpisa. Wala yung sa usapan, pero masaya, sasagutin ko yun. Maikli lang yun.
Sige nga.
Ito mga to, ito, may kasalanan ka. Yung pala, may presentation. Kaya nagsabi presentation. Pero actually, presentation ko, when we were in Davao, it's with you already. Actually, I told the staff ng PCIJ, for all you know, you can always flash on screen yung website ng PPI. Andun presentations ko, ang dami-dami, 1 million. Andun lahat. Anyway, sasagot ko lang, mabilis lang to, Ed. Umupo ka doon, sasagutin mo din yun eh. Ikaw may pakana nung unang question. No, what I'm saying is that it doesn't mean na walang major pronouncements from the President himself against media practitioners or journalists ay nag-improve ng press freedom. Diba? For all we know, yung silence mas scary yun. Babanggitin ba natin? Baka meron ng brasuhan na nangyayari, di ba?
Wala akong sinasabi,
Hindi. Oo, sige, wala ka lang mag-fact check tayo mamaya.
Hindi, tanong natin sila.
Gusto ko lang sagutin kasi importante yun, Ede. It actually sets the tone of what we're talking about on press freedom. Tsaka para masaya, di ba? Tapos, dudugtungan ko din yun. Press freedom will always be the centerpiece and priority of any initiative. In fact, we cannot begin to talk about safety, welfare, etc., if we do not address matters in press freedom. That's exactly the point of the establishment of media citizen councils. Nasabi ko lagi, mahirap gawin yon, just like any initiative, kasi it's not stand-alone. It cannot be done by one organization. It took a lot of courage. It took a lot of kapal na mukha to be able to create Media Citizen Council. And you guys, if you're not familiar with PPI, if you're not familiar with, I'm pretty sure half of this class do not exactly know what Media Citizen Council is. Unfortunately, you also don't know what a press council is. And you do not exactly know how a press council works. It's all part kung nag-aral. May estudyante ba? Naka-live stream tayo, no? Yes. Okay, si Hoda. Okay. May mga estudyante kayo, di ba? May estudyante ba dito? Meron. Hindi, ang sinasabi ko, if you guys can tell your teachers, kung hindi pa sila aral sa isang parte ng isang usapin on press freedom and journalism, etc., etc., now is the time to tell teachers, let's talk about the Media Citizen Council. It's there. May teachers then. Okay, kasi Hoda. Okay. We've been, the press council is there under PPI for a long, long time. Nobody understood it until we told ourselves, not just PPI, but a lot of stakeholders, supporters, and I hope you already know by this time, and Ed doesn't know there's a Philippine plan of action up there on the shame on you, okay? But now, I'm saying is that for all you guys wanting to know about the Media Citizen Council, that's why I don't have a presentation. It's all there in the website. It's www.philpressinstitute.net. Andun talaga lahat. Yung presentation sa PCIJ, I put them all there. And also shared, those resources and contents are being shared by all press councils, media citizen councils across the archipelago. Why? Why do you have to do it? Pwede nyo ilagay, sino in charge? Ganun ako, irreverent talaga pag nag-talk ako. Tapos minsan nag-uutos pa ako. Pwede, pwede natin i-flash on screen so you see si Howie. Pasensya na, Howie, ganun talaga. Asa na yan si Howie sa akin. The interactive map can be flashed on screen so that you know where we're going, di ba? It's www.philpressinstitute.net. Hindi, balikan natin yung Ed, press freedom, kasi ang dami nang binanggit ni Weng, ni Len, PCIJ, etc., etc. Let's go back to the basics para yung mga estudyante, di ba? We cannot even begin to talk press freedom pag kumakalam yung sikmura. No, my heart goes to community journalists. January, hindi ako iiyak. Huwag kang mag-alala, hindi ako iiyak. The last research siya na yung ito umiyak din. No, I'm serious. Half or even more than of this entire group on the last day, happy 35th founding anniversary PCIJ, talagang struggling. You know, huwag kang tumawa kasi yung pinag-usapan natin during the pandemic, right? Even during the pandemic, more problems were more pronounced. Na andun na yun since time immemorial. What we're saying is that what we're talking about right now is the same, with the same cycle. But it's good that we're reminded by Anne, by Weng, and by Len that all of these things that we're talking about, meron pinag-uugatan yan. May pinag-uutan. We're not just talking about one administration after another demonizing, bastardizing the profession. Pero may kinalaman yan sa environment na ginagalawan ng mga journalists. Remember, for one, sa PPI, again, if you're not familiar with Philippine Press Institute, simply put, if there's KBP, there's PPI. We're for print. Ang KBP, alam nyo na yan. Nasa website, ayan, website namin yan. Ang sinasabi ko, Stan, madami nag-close shop, di ba? Tapos, bumalik, pero there was or is still shrinking newsrooms. Number two, itong sinasabi ko lagi, ano bang isang manifestation ng bakit nawala or nag-erode yung trust or bumaba yung revenues or sales sa mga struggling newspapers, community newspapers? Wala ka naman kitang newsstands. It also says a lot about how community newspapers are appreciated locally. I keep on saying this, in other groups, we have to support local journalists. That's what press freedom is all about. When we talk about pluralism in media, when we talk about more journalists in the next generation, hopefully, get to appreciate yung ginagawa ninyo or ginagawa na natin ng mga, I'm not just talking about like-minded individual organizations because we have to expand the conversation. That's exactly the point of the Safety Media Summit later on. What I'm saying is that if we go out of our comfort zones, and that was an introspection during the pandemic na, uy, akala natin okay na tayo because we got the public trust and only to know that eroding public trust and that slowly we're getting them back again. Pero mahirap yon. Pero it's a confluence of things said. You and all of us here and you guys know that habang pinag-uusapan natin sa eskwelahan, sa ganito, kung saan man dako tayo ng mundo, we are also beset with a lot of problems already. Economic freedom is very important for journalists. Yung binanggit ni Len kanina, ito yung disparity, etc. What's the disparity? It's even smaller outside Metro Manila. What we're saying is that if we are trying to have a mechanism and an initiative of sorts that will address press freedom, etc., etc., probably this mechanism, this is going to be quite self-serving, but I hope you guys appreciate now that the establishment of the Media Citizen Council, which is anchored on the Philippine Plan of Actual Safety, bilis kasi magsalita. Andun na yun. But even before that, it's long been in the bag of PPI to really come up with the Press Council, Media Citizen Council, a contemporary one, that addresses at least yung mga problema na nasa mandato ng isang Media Citizen Council. This I have to say, if you're familiar with your local press clubs or local media organizations, what makes a difference if you have a Media Citizen Council? Kung ang hindi natutugunan ng isang Media Citizen Council or nagagawa, ay pwedeng gawin ng Media Citizen Council. Ang Media Citizen Council, ay, teka lang, pakihanap na lang po yung hindi tayo nag-move doon, no? Kailangan mag-move on tayo doon sa slides. Pakihanap na lang po yung Media Citizen Council because it's all there. We need a mechanism to be able to address certain problems. A Media Citizen Council is not the answer or solution to the woes of the world, but at least half of the problems we can solve, while a local press club cannot. Okay? Let us not treat a media... Oh, gusto niyo PowerPoint presentation? Yan. Maliit nga lang, niyo babasa yan. One thing is that let us treat the Media Citizen Council not just a mere organization, but a mechanism by itself. There's no other council, there's no other mechanism, supposedly because it's a felt need, out of curiosity, that should or can answer at least not half, I'm not saying with numbers, but at least all of the problems we're talking about right now. And more importantly, it's not media-centric, it's citizen-centric. And for the first time, you get all sectors that are vetted in a Media Citizen Council, rallying behind so that journalists thrive in a healthy environment. Pero, with the presence of the sectors in the council, serving as watchdog of the watchdog, you step up. We do a better job kasi nakakahiya. Imagine mo all the sectors supporting Rambitums and do a sloppy job, right? So we put a premium on excellent or good journalism as a public good, but at the same time, you also want, binagit ka Wen kanina, media accountability, self-regulation, etc. How do we do that? We admit that there are laws, but we also admit that we don't want to be regulated by the government. The only time that, okay, paano ba natin sasabihin sa kanila na ayaw namin i-regulate kaya kasi marunong tayo mag-regulate. That's exactly the point of a Media Citizen Council. I'll end there kasi I want questions from the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Tama na yung kape mo, ha?
Sabi mo 5 minutes kasi wala yung 5 minutes sa akin.
Ariel Sabrino, PPI. Okay. Well, some very informative presentations from our panel, but I want to throw it to you guys. Remember, the topic today for this morning, the wrapping up topic is basically the state of Philippine media. Bato ko sa inyo, you don't have to ask questions, I suppose, you don't have to ask questions if you want to... Question ka agad, teka. Sige. You don't have to ask questions if you ask me. You can even give insights, but not too long. We can have a conversation as it is. Okay? Ang bato ko sa inyo, anong tingin nyo? Are we better off now than 2 years ago, than 6 years ago, than 8 years ago, and so on down the line? Okay? Oh, who wants to go first? Ma'am, kayo po? Can be a question, can be insight. If it's an insight, please make it short so that we can have the mic go around.
Short lang ito. Ka-Ariel, I'm PBN Broadcasting Network. I'm also at KBP. I was just wondering, because dito sa Media Citizens Council, no? Bakit hindi tayo mag-collaborate with KBP since we have the code? Kasi nangyayari ito, parang lumalabas na parang nagko-compete. Like the Media Citizens Council kasi could kasi with the 5 flagships there,
Yes.
education, and we have the perfect code. Hindi naman perfect or what, but so that hindi ito competing. Can it be done?
Okay. Ganito, good to raise that up. Unang-una, wala pong competition dito, it's all inclusive. I want you to go to the website, microsite of PPI, in the PPI website, because it's all there. What we're saying is that it's all inclusive, it's multi-sectoral. When we say it's not media-centric, but with the presence of media there, andun yung KBP. we did not ink a formal agreement with KBP, but all of councils who are here, which are here now, represented by the chairpersons, please raise your hand. They actually invited KBP as well, and UJP, other media organizations. I know there's a code of standard or standards sa KBP. Saan area kayo, ma'am?
SA po,
Ha?
national.
Ano
I'm
na?
also part of the SA board.
Pero I mean,
Wait,
Manila kayo?
KBP,
Manila?
Bicol area.
Bicol.
Broadcasting Network.
Wala pa kasi.
No, but I'm in the national board.
No. What I'm saying is that there's no Media Citizen Council yet in
Yun na
Bicol.
nga.
Yeah. Asan yung mga funders natin
And
dito?
not only in Bicol, but I did not...
Pero, okay
even,
po. Yeah,
local
I understand
chapters.
you. Dahan-dahan po yun. Actually, we don't want to dot the archipelago with lots of Media Citizen Councils. Now, if you're expressing your interest
Yes.
to have a Media Citizen Council of your own, kailangan po, hindi siya out of whim, na parang, ay, gusto ko ng Media Citizen Council kasi fabulous siya, masaya, beautiful, gano'n. Hindi. Dapat maintindihan nyo muna yung prinsipyo. I know where you're coming from. If you want to have an inclusive Media Citizen Council, it's not just about people, it's not just about KBP, it's all orgs and sectors there.
Yes,
Pwede pa
yeah.
natin pag-usapan pa yun. The
Yes.
only problem is that we cannot do a lot of Media Citizen Council at the same time.
Yeah.
Which means, at the end of the year, we would have like 5 Media Citizen Councils, including BARM. And all the others will be in the pipeline PPI by next year. We're also wanting for resources and sources of funds.
Yeah.
But we want to spread the gospel of the Media Citizen Council, because that's what it is. If you want to embrace it, and by now you have embraced it, that's good. We're good to go.
I have to talk to the board.
Kasama talaga. Lahat.
Ang sinasabi ko kasi,
Oo.
if the self-regulation that we're talking about, we could adopt that KBP for that. And the Citizens Council could now address the plight of the journalists.
Yeah.
Kasi we have the local chapters
Yeah.
organized kami.
I know. Yeah.
But if we could include that,
Yeah.
but I'm just in the SA.
Pero kasama talaga, ma'am. Don't,
Sila yun.
yeah.
Sa board siya. Yung
Don't
chairman.
ever think, actually, I talked to Noel
I will raise it
I
up to-
pitched
I will
the
raise
whole
it up to
idea,
Noel. Yeah.
even before we started in 2022. Pero, wag niyong isipan there's competition here. Wala pong competition dito. It's
Yeah,
all for the
okay.
bayan, ha? We're talking about, selfless, altruistic, etc., etc. Yun lang yun. Walang ano
Sige.
doon. Walang kompetensya doon.
Okay, I'm
In
asking-
fact, PPA is not competing with KBP and
Yes.
all the other media
Yes.
organizations.
Okay, let's remove the competition. Can
Yeah.
we adopt the code of the KBP inside the media? That's what I want to suggest.
In the
Okay?
council, ganito.
Yes. Oo.
Ang Media Citizen Council is a separate entity altogether that's
Yan na nga.
inclusive.
Yeah, that's it.
It has a code of
Meron
conduct coming from all,
Thank you.
from all fronts. So, pwede. Statement, pwede.
Okay. Next.
Yun actually.
Questions, comments, insights? Oh, go ahead. Sir.
Hi, good morning. My name is Joey Marzan. I'm from Iloilo City. First comment, Sir Ariel, yung sa interactive map, pakiayos yung dots kasi yung Iloilo Media Citizens Council napunta sa Aklan.
Chair, asan ka? OC, pare OC. Tingnan natin, alin dots doon?
Yung dun sa map, sir, nasa Kalibo yung yung Iloilo Media Citizens Council.
Sige, tingnan natin.
Oo.
Nakita nyo ba?
Hindi, merong...
Friends, PCIJ Friends. Sige, tingnan natin. Ayaw na lang ipakita kasi sabi mo may mali. Huwag na natin ipakita.
Oo.
Ayusin muna namin tapos you put it there.
No, chinek ko na lang. Pero anyway,
Oo.
next question about Media Citizens Councils pa rin given that these are private na bodies, and syempre, yung mga nasasaktang tao, they would prefer na pumunta sa korte para mas masakit yung to deliver a bigger blow dun sa mga media na sinasabi nila nagsaslander sa kanila. So how do we make our Media Citizens Councils effective?
Magandang tanong yan. Hindi, unang-una, it's not just private, it's public-private because there are sector representations in the council. That has been the question for the longest time, even with the Philippine Press Council. Sinasabi na nila, wala na namang teeth yung council. So, automatic ang default talaga is libel para ma-experience nyo yung makulong, tapos yung economic blah-blah, chilling effect, etc., etc. Pero that's the challenge with the contemporary Media Citizen Council now. It should be a movement or a culture by itself. Sabi na, it it has to be appreciated not by the sectors in the council, even by those na mahilig mag-libel. Di ba? Ang sinasabi natin dito, ang isa sa mga institutional advocacies of the council is to decriminalize libel. Not absolute abolition of libel. Kailangan pa rin accountability. But what we're saying is that pag na-appreciate, there should be public awareness of sorts. Pero, Joseph, kasi, isipin natin na isang Media Citizen Council ay isang mekanismo na hindi makakasagot sa lahat ng sinasabi kong problema kanina. Pero, if yung mahilig mag-libel, alam natin kung sino yung state actors, politicians, etc., sana dumaan muna sa council. Hindi, teka lang. Mamaya ka na, pagkatapos. Tapos, pwede nating sabihin, that's also a challenge for every Media Citizen Council. Now, if it has a strong foundation, the strong code of conduct, then it can not only have a voluntary right of reply, not legislated, but actually solve cases by way of mediation. Yung alternative dispute, that's the key ingredient of a Media Citizen Council now. O turn over.
I have my own mic. Sorry. Susug lang kay Ariel, no? Yung press council, marami siyang purpose. Marami siyang pwedeng itulong sa journalists. One of them is serving as a bridge, no, between the public and the media. So if they have a complaint, they can go to the press council. Pero we're not stopping people from filing cases. Kasi karapatan din naman nila yon, no? Although sa Philippine culture, hindi naman tayo mapaghabla, di ba? Kapag may gusto ka ireklamo, maghahanap ka ng sinong kakilala mo sa barangay o sino yung kakilala mo sa munisipyo. But then, what we want is for people to be involved and to hold journalists accountable kapag meron tayong mga mali. So kasama yun dun sa trabaho ng Press Council and other organizations. We want people to also hold us accountable kasi sa kanila naman din talaga tayo, di ba? Sila yung boss. Bukod doon, the media and information literacy, pwede rin siyang gawin ng press councils. Yung building ng trust, di ba kailangan nating i-build uli yung trust ng public sa news media. That can also be done through the press councils. So maraming pwedeng gawin yung press councils. Getting other organizations like KBP and other organizations, pwede rin siyang gawin ng press council. So marami siyang pwedeng gawin depending on how that particular press council in the area would shape itself. May mga basic siguro, but then it can evolve and define what they want the press council to do.
Ano yan si Tito Inday. Saglit lang. The council or the community takes ownership of the council. Nobody owns the council. PPI does not own the council. It's no longer about PPI. Much like the Philippine Plan of Action for the Journalists, it's the Philippine Initiative.
May last question pa ako, sorry. For all of you in the panel, when I've been talking to students who take up journalism as a degree, many of them don't want to go into the media simply because there's no money in the profession. That coupled with other threats really discourages them from joining the industry. And kung sa local media pa medyo naghihingalo na kasi yun nga parating the reference is always the bigger media organizations. How do we make the profession attractive? I don't know the term to use. Attractive to younger generations who actually want to do it but can't because of other reasons that are outside of our control.
I love that question. Who wants to answer that? No, not answer. Who wants to try to give insight to that?
Sige, how do we encourage, tama? How do we encourage students to go into journalism given the situation, the low pay, etc.? Mahirap siyang sagutin. Pero, a lot of the people who took up the course and then after graduating really went into journalism, not BPOs or advertising. It's because of the appreciation of the importance of journalism. And for me, dapat yun yung dahilan ba't ka pumapasok dito. Hindi dahil sa gusto mong maging politiko afterwards. Diba? Marami yun. Ginagawang stepping stone ng media for a political career or for something else. Pero, dapat naman, may tama kang sahod. Dapat naman, hindi ka babarilin. Dapat naman, makakapagbalita ka nang hindi ka binabash or hindi ka tinitreten. And I think that's what we have been talking about. No? How do we create that environment so that journalists can do their jobs and be safe? Pero kung talagang parang ngayon, anong gagawin natin? Parang walang magic wand for that eh. Diba? So it's really understanding what the profession is all about and engaging the academic community. So we're really very happy. And in all of the activities of PCIJ, we always include the academe. We in fact have the head of the journalism department of PUP. We have invited professors from other universities para kasama sila dun sa conversation. Para din pag tinuturo nila yung journalism, hindi siya yung parang nasa langit, pero yung reality napakalayo. Para mas totoo yung conversation sa loob ng mga classrooms. I don't know if that answers your question.
Len? Ariel?
I will try to add. I think I agree with Ate Weng, no, that at the onset, malinaw naman sa atin that this is public service. So it's not really for the glamour, although we encounter many students having that answer. No? Why did they go into journalism? Because they want to be Howie Severino or any other, anchor and TV personality. Pero yun nga parang siguro pag sinagot din natin, mahirap siyang sagutin di ba? So, baka siguro mas maganda manggaling din from our experience yung sagot. What sustains us? What keeps us here despite everything that's happening? And I think we can get strength and inspiration from our communities. First, from our colleagues in the media. No? Kasi pag mag-isa ka lang, di ba, wala ka na nga mababa na nga yung sahod mo, pagod ka pa, 24/7, etc. Di ba? Sinong tatagal sa ganitong profesyon? But if you realize the importance of what you do, and it's validated by the people you cover, di ba? The impacts of your stories, such as yung Chocolate Hills, no? Sa Bohol, di ba? Yung impact sa environment, etc. If you see the impacts sa ating mga communities, and kahit isa lang magsabi sa'yo na, salamat dun sa article na sinulat nyo, or dun sa report na nilabas ninyo, I think that's what keeps us going. And siguro ito rin yung isang silver lining in the past few years since Duterte, that we have realized how important solidarity is. When ABS-CBN franchise was on the brink, diba? Many colleagues from different media outfits in Metro Manila went to ABS-CBN. Yung mga kasamahan natin sa regions, provinces, they also held symbolic actions in support of Kapamilya. At marami pang ibang actions. These little acts of solidarity, tingin ko ito yung siguro mahalaga, yung non-monetary aspect of being in this profession. And I think yun din yung pwede nating i-share sa kanila, no? Sa ating mga future journalists.
Wala akong sagot. Akala ko wala akong sagot. Short lang. Hindi, dati naman kasi, yung mga teachers sabi nila, prangkahan naman kasi, hindi ka yayaman when you enter journalism. But if you sense you have a bigger or nobler calling? Yun.
Anna, you want to add?
No, I agree. I think people don't go into this profession necessarily for glamour or for money. It's one of the most noblest professions. It actually helps us make sense of the world and of our role in it, and holds power to account and sheds light on stories that are beautiful and obscured sometimes by power. But indeed, journalists don't have to be martyrs or victims, and we are here today indeed to discuss how to create this kind of enabling environment where journalism can thrive, because it is important not only for journalists themselves but for all of our society and democracy. So thank you for doing this job.
If I may just add lang to that, I think it's, in a way, it's a twisted self-screening process. If you do recall, nung panahon ng martial law, we saw some of the best journalists come out. Sometimes it takes a bit more challenge, a bit more crisis for the good ones to come out. Kasi in the decades after that, people started joining journalism because it was glamorous, it was comfortable, sumisikat yung mga tao, dumadaming friends, napapapicture and all that. And people forget what it's about eh. You want to be a journalist because there are problems that you want to confront. And because you don't trust anybody else to do it. Because you want to do it. Questions? Si Inday, sorry, Inday first, tapos I think one of you guys. But Inday, go.
Okay, before I ask my questions lang, siguro just to add to the answer, while we're all here because we want to serve the country and serve our people, let's not forget manggagawa tayo. Mahalaga sa atin na makabuhay, no? Because if we don't allow ourselves to live and live properly, we're going to continue hemorrhaging, sa ating ranks. I think what I learned from other things is we also need to be entrepreneurs, probably. We need to find different models in journalism that will get us from the dependence on ads from politicians and big business, and probably craft and sell products, allied products to journalism that will allow us income at the same time retaining our independence. Yun lang. Just a question for Weng sa national plan of action. I know that we talk to various stakeholders, including the government, of course, a lot of government officials. But has the government signed on? I mean, signed on this? Or is this tayo pa rin? Because if they signed on, then that in itself is an accountability mechanism. So I wasn't too clear about that.
Okay, that's a good point. No? When we were crafting the plan of action, there were a lot of consultations with government agencies. So nakuha natin kung ano yung limitations nila, ano yung role nila, and those who attended were actually very positive. No? But after the plan was, it's all there, nagawa na siya, dun kasi yung nagkaroon ng problema. So, kaya now we're taking it up again para i-push yung implementation. The most logical first step was to talk to the Commission on Human Rights. And they were actually very happy with the plan of action. And in fact, tinake on nila yon and made it one of their major program, yung promotion of the plan of action. So okay sila, and we had a media summit where it was discussed with CHR. And in fact, they're coming to the Philippine summit later kasi part sila. And then also the UN Joint Program on Human Rights, which includes the Commission on Human Rights, kasama siya doon. And in fact, they're also financially supporting the summit. Pero, kailangan pa siyang ilako. Kailangan mo pa siyang ibenta. So, marami pang trabaho. The summit is actually just the start. We want to see if the Philippine Plan of Action has to be updated, given that you now have AI, you have so many other issues confronting journalists. And then, of course, yung situation natin, ang daming shutdown. A lot of the small community papers, wala na ngayon. Nag-online na. So, maraming changes sa situation since the Plan of Action was drafted several years ago. So, that's what the summit is all about. Updating the Philippine Plan of Action and then identifying concrete actions that can be done. So, okay yon that we need to talk to national agencies, but community journalists also have their own roles to play. Kasi kailangan din nyo siyang dalhin, yung plan of action, to your mayors, to your congressmen, and to others who should support the implementation of the plan of action. Atin to eh. Hindi siya pwedeng si Len lang or si Ariel lang ang tatrabaho. Lahat tayo merong trabaho para ma-implement talaga siya. But of course, we anticipate that there would be resistance, kaya kailangan siyang planuhin. So what do you do if the person you're talking to, the agency says, ay hindi na yung kailangan, may batas naman tayo, etc. So, yun yung mga kailangang pag-usapan. That's why the summit was organized.
Yeah, correct. The humongous challenge for the plan of action is its implementation. So it must be popularized. Again, I said this, it should be a movement. Otherwise, it remains that, a plan. So yung paggawa ng Safety Media Summit later on and until the next day is actually review what we've done, take stock of what we didn't do, at saka pwede siyang i-adjust, revisiting it so that some public provisions can be revised or pwedeng dagdagan pero walang tatanggalin. As it is, it's already beautiful pero kailangan pa rin trabahuin pa yun kasi there's more work to do in the implementation of the plan of action.
Okay, next. Sorry, I have to go with the guys who raised their hands before. Sino yung kaninang? Sino ba nauna? Honesty system, sino nauna? Kung oldest si Howie yun. So, you guys first? Oh, sige. Sorry, I should have. Can somebody take note of who raises their hands first? Go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to take a crack at answering Ed's first question. Are we better off today? But I'd like to ask 3 quick questions first. Were there media organizations? I'm sorry, John Neri from Rappler. I'd like to ask 3 quick questions first. Were there media organizations during the Marcos dictatorship? Of course, right? For those who were not born yet, the biggest TV station was RPN 9. There were 3 crony newspapers, and so on. Was there journalism during the Marcos dictatorship? And the answer is yes. If you remember reading Reca Trinidad's very poignant story the day after the thrilla in Manila about Muhammad Ali, that's journalism. Was there press freedom under the Marcos dictatorship? The answer is no, right? We had to recreate or reclaim press freedom through the work of the smaller newspapers, right? We Forum, Malaya.
The Mosquito Press.
The Mosquito Press, that's right. Why am I asking it in this way? I really like the framework that the media critic Jay Rosen suggests that we use to think of our profession. That media, journalism, and press, while in ordinary conversation we can exchange one word for the other, they actually have technical meanings. Media refers to the business, the industry. Journalism refers to set of practices. So for instance, what do we do with AI? A lot of our questions have to do with, do we evolve our set of practices to integrate AI? But press is our office. That's why we're protected by the Constitution. our office, meaning to say it's a position of public trust. So to go back to the original question, are we better off? Are we better off today under Marcos Jr.? Media organization, as media, no. Because the effects of the shutdown of ABS-CBN are still being felt. There are still many failing print and broadcast businesses. It's a tough sell, and it's under this platform.
And you have
economy.
political families,
And you have political families that's
buying
right.
in.
Are we better off as journalism? And I think yes, because there is no precedent now that demonizes journalism or journalists, right? We are freer now to reclaim some of the practices that we need to practice as journalists. But do we have press freedom? Are we better off as a press? And I think the answer there is no, because the real threat lies in the alternative information infrastructure that Marcos has set up. The first president to have been elected without benefit of going through public debates, because he has his own system. And I think that alternative information infrastructure actually undermines our office as a position of public trust. The public might put their trust in this alternative infrastructure. So a complicated answer to a very urgent and essential question. Thank you.
Pero magandang nuancing Nuancing is good. Comments? Reactions? Howie?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, John. That was a very nuanced and smart framework to think about. I like the way you kind of have separate definitions for three words that we often use interchangeably. No? But I wanna hark back to the theme of threats. No? Kasi there's been a lot of discussion about red tagging. Every time international organizations come, they seem to kind of be fixated on this. No? But red tagging kasi it tends to target individual journalists. No? Which should be seen as a threat to everybody, right? But back in 2019, Duterte administration released a graphic that they called the Matrix. No? I'm not sure if it's the equivalent of red tagging. That's why I want to ask, no? Because it hasn't been mentioned. This kind of stunt by the government to basically smear journalists and create a different kind of threat. No, it wasn't exactly red tagging, but just to refresh, the Matrix, if you recall, it was put on the front page of a newspaper, the Manila Times, I believe, back in 2019, that had this manufactured network of journalists, activists, and some politicians, kind of connecting them in this vast conspiracy to bring down the government. I think, Ed, you were part of that.
No, I was part of a different matrix that included Jollibee.
Okay. Well, anyway.
And Jesuit-trained millennials.
Okay. Well, I remember Vera Files was part of this, the entire board of the PCIJ, etc. But ang difference dito, what differentiated it from red tagging? Red tagging, as I mentioned, it usually targets individuals. No? The Matrix tried to sell this idea of all of the journalists. Of course, most of them were critical, connecting them to this plot, no, against the Duterte administration, to bring down the Duterte administration. And many of us felt threatened, no, because at this time, as we know, many innocent people were getting killed. We were covering the so-called war on drugs, no. Mostly poor people being killed and their bodies found on the street. So ganun ang milieu when this Matrix was released. And I know that it had a bit of a chilling effect, no? Even though few of us want to admit to being chilled, no? But
because it came from Malacanang.
It
the
came
president himself released it.
And I remember when Panela was asked, I think he was the spokesperson at this time, he said if it came from Malacanang, then it had the kind of the green light of the president, and if the president said something, it must be true, or something like some crazy logic like that, no. But anyway, it was kind of a scary moment for some, no. And it actually, I think it forced a few of those on the Matrix to lie low, no. And I'm bringing this up because if it's not mentioned in any of these contexts that we're talking about, baka ulitin eh. because it actually had an effect, no? So because of all of the lobbying about red tagging, the government has actually paid lip service to ending it, but we haven't heard about the matrix much since then. And if we just forget it, baka ulitin lang about against a different set of journalists, and then and it's going to have the similar effect of chilling dissent and all of that. And I'm wondering where a stunt like that, the Matrix, falls within this realm of concerns that we're raising on the stage today.
Throw to the panel. Len, you want?
Hello. Ayan po yung isa sa Matrix nandito. Si Ma'am Dai. NUJP documented that incident. I think it's a very valid concern for everyone. At ngayon parang meron na nga silang iba't ibang terms eh. Hindi lang communist terrorist or communist propagandist. They even use urban operative. I was called internet operatibang operator. I don't know what that means. Pero they try to change the labels, etc. But of course, the objective is the same: to intimidate us, to harass us, to make us feel threatened. And valid din naman, no? Talagang yung chilling effect is very real. Kahit veteranong journalist yan or bagitong journalist yan, the impacts can be the same. Kasi tao tayo, we feel traumatized, no? At very normal for anyone to feel scared, no, after being included in any of those lists. NUJP is conducting a study on red tagging, but that incident is included in that study to remind people that red tagging now is not really just using the word communist, but any other label. Some of our colleagues were accused of being protectors of drug users or drug dealers. Just this morning, Edito Mapayo was accused of being a narco-protector. So those labels are wantonly used to harass us. So glad that you reminded us of that, and that's why it's very important for us to document and monitor. Some colleagues would say that I don't want to be the story. 'Di ba? Ganyan naman tayo eh. Parang ayoko na, wag mo nang i-case profile yung nangyari sa akin because it's part of the job, 'di ba? Ganun yung sasabihin nila. O kaya ayoko na ilagay mo ako diyan kasi ano lang naman yun, minor lang. But yung importance of having that record, no, ay makita rin natin na it's not just about me. Hindi lang ako yung nilagay dito, hindi lang ako yung ginawa ng ganito, but seeing the trend. And after seeing that there's the trend, how do we collectively respond to these incidents? And the importance of also working together to address these issues. So, yun lang po.
Maiksi lang para makapagtanong yung iba. I think the forms of attack, mag-e-evolve yan. Depende sa kung ano yung makikita nila na nag-work, na naging effective, no, in suppressing journalists or critical reporting. So, may matrix, may red tagging, at merong actual filing of cases using the law, etc. So, but the intention is the same, no? Pareho yung gustong gawin, nagbabago-bago lang yung forma ng kung paano nila gagawin. The Matrix sent such a chilling effect, pero marami din siyang negative na no? Kasi this is the Matrix that included Gretchen Ho, right?
And Heidelin Diaz.
And Heidelin Diaz. So di ba, parang there was a lot of reaction from the public kasi hindi ganun ka-believable yung some of those in the Matrix. And then it led to the resignation of one of the editors of the newspaper, etc. So, magbabago-bago ang forma, pero kailangan laging malinaw sa atin bakit ginagawa yon. And that for us to be able to respond. Hindi rin pwedeng pabayaan mo lang. So yun yung mas mahalaga. For us to be aware what it is for. And posible siyang bumalik. Posibleng gamitin nila uli. It can be a better, diba, a more credible matrix next time. So ang kailangan lang handa tayo and sharp enough, no? And be able to push back.
Okay. I move to the middle para to give chance to everybody else here kasi yung mga matatanda na nakikita ko malabo mata ko
Thank you so much po. I'm Faidia Samanodi again from Bangsamoro Multimedia Network in Cotabato City based. My question po is, in this organization po na kinabibilangan natin ngayon, ano ho ba yung clear na services and programs ninyo para sa amin na mga journalists na nasa Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao? How do you take the role also to protect, to help us na ma-protect and ma-ensure din yung aming safety? Especially, may mga kasamahan din kaming mga journalists in our region na nakakaranas din ng the same harassments na nangyayari din sa inyo dito sa Manila. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Who wants to take that? You're based in
Sige po.
Cotabato. Oh.
Hello. We always say that an organization is as good as its members. No? We do not want to portray ourselves as the Messiah because we are not. So, ang lakas po ng NUJP, for example, ay nasa kanilang mga chapters. And they are doing a really wonderful job. Kapag may nakasuhan ng libel, mabilis na nag-a-alert, nagre-respond, and they even pitch in for the bail ng mga kasamahan natin. So I think it's building that kind of solidarity among journalists in your community. That's the key. Kasi ang national office, we cannot do everything, no? We are here to facilitate, to provide training, maybe to help access some of the resources for training, etc. Pero ang vibrancy ng NUJP ay nasa mga chapters. At napakaganda no, ng ginagawa ng NUJP chapters, karamihan sa kanila ay nandito. At sila talaga yung unang-unang nagre-respond. So, usap na lang po tayo later on how we can work together. Of course, that's why we also want to, really establish organizations, not only NUJP, kundi kung ano pa yung pwede pang organization. Pero again, yung solidarity ng local journalist, napakahalaga po. Yung community mismo ang nagpo-push back. And in cases of attacks, halimbawa sa Baguio, nabugbog sarado, no? Maraming kaso. Pero pag may isang under attack, tumitindig yung buong Baguio community. It's the same for the other provinces.
Good chance to network. This is a very, very good chance to network.
Ed, sorry,
Yeah.
mabilis lang. Because we remember you were in Cotabato, we had a series of roundtable discussions on strengthening press freedom in the Bangsamoro region. So I think the first step would be the awareness, no? So those kind of conversations have to continue. Hindi lang dahil may PCIJ na pumunta para mag-usap-usap tayo. But I think the journalists themselves from the area, taking off from that conversation, should continue the conversation. It can be within your own newsrooms or within the bigger community of the journalists in Cotabato or Maguindanao, etc. Wag maghintay kasi na meron, no? Kasi kayang-kaya nyo yun at ang galing-galing. What we saw in that series of roundtable discussions, very aware, very clear din dun sa mga tao ano yung problema at ano yung solusyon.
Yeah, I gusto ko lang pong bigyan ng konting linaw, Ma'am Weng, no? That after your visit in Cotabato City and having that kind of training,
the BMN lead an organizing media Bangsamoro na kung saan yung mga bagong muka ng mga journalists ngayon sa Bangsamoro ay inorganize ni BMN para matulungan sila doon sa mga advocacy nila to ensure their safety also. However, yun na nga ang tanong ko, ano ba yung serbisyo na pwede niyong maibaba sa amin para din matulungan kami, kumbaga pa, to sustain, no? Ma-sustain yung ganong programa ninyo sa amin. Kasi kagaya na lamang ng pagkamatay ng kinote nila na vlogger, si Miss Jana. But actually, Miss Jana is a part of isang radio station. Isang babaeng journalist, pinatay, walang nangyari. So, wala din sa list ng red tagging. So, kumbaga pa, we don't want na it will happen again. Although it is impossible. Kasi, hindi natin sigurado eh. Ang mundong ginagalawan natin is pwedeng anytime pwedeng merong titira sa atin. However, we wanted to strengthen our capacity. We wanted to strengthen our organizing. But we need you. That's the reason why I asked, what is your clear services that you can still give to us, and so we can strengthen what we have. Thank you po.
Ma'am, let me just interject. Maganda to take this conversation offline kasi po maraming gusto magtanong ng parehong tanong eh. So mas maiging mag-usap-usap pagkatapos para mas directed yung usapan. Okay? Move ako doon? Ano? Kasi magagalit sa akin mga ano. Babalik ako. Magagalit sa akin si Juliet.
Hello, magandang umaga po muli. Darcy de Galicia po from Southern Tagalog. At dahil katabi ko po ang aking editor from Rappler, magbigay lang po ako ng ano, hindi po ito question but merely a reaction. Sa tanong ni Sir Ed na are we better off today? So, ang sagot ko po dyan ay ano, hiramin ko po yung line ni Spiral Staircase. I love journalism more today than yesterday. Kasi po
Kanta ba yan?
yes, spiral staircase, okay. I love more today than yesterday.
May -1 ka?
Than
Sige.
yesterday.
Sige, wag. Sige, diretso.
Anyways, kaya ko po nasabi, we are winning the war by hearts and minds against the reign of Digong Muñoz and his predecessor. Bakit po? From the first and second national investigative journalist, and we are now today, the third. So, ibig sabihin, nag-innovate, nagbabago, may mga pagbabago at mas magandang pagbabago. At ang mga ganito pong pangyayari, concrete example is the NJP are here, the PCIJ, the PAPI, and the UNESCO. And PAPI, sorry, PPI, sorry.
Iba yung papi.
Tawag niyan.
Na-trigger.
Fake news ka.
And, at mula po sa iba't ibang isla ng Pilipinas.
Wala na, credibility sila kagad.
Nandito. So, ito po yung very much concrete example. We love more today than yesterday. Thank you.
But we have more work today than yesterday. Ganun pa natin. That's always how it works. You have more work today than yesterday. I'll come back to you guys. I'll go back here kasi may mga... Teka, change table naman. Sino sa inyo?
Thank you.
landscape naman siya. Siguro pwede kay Ariel, pero parang reaction na lang eh. No. Kasi di ba nagbago ng landscape sa ngayon? Yung existence ng mga advisory board na nag-include dyan mga journalists. Mga kilala at respetadong journalists sa iba't ibang cities and provinces. So hindi ko lang alam hanggang saan ba yung kanilang role together with the military. Kasi nakaupo sila sa advisory board ng military, ng police, ng city hall or the LGU. And then these are respectable people naman. I don't know kung paano ka respetable, pero ando sila, umuupo sila para naman sa mga kasamahan natin sa community. But at the same time, huwag din natin kaligtaan na ang mga mayors, lalo na sa mga probinsya, they created also their own mga radio stations. They also created their pool of bloggers, media team, na gumagawa din ng report and tapping also the journalist na mga nasa mainstream. So, dapat bang ikatakot natin to? Like, papasok tayo sa media council sa community. Paano tayo laro? Or yun ba yung paraan ng pananahimik sa atin para hindi tayo mag-ingay? And then at the same time nga, dun sa comment ko kay Len Olea, ka-include naman natin si Jana Villegas dun sa mga listahan na namatay. Kasi last year, I think the other year, I also mentioned that Jana is, siguro tingin natin noong vlogger, isolated sila, but how do we look at content creators and bloggers now who are also into radio and TV reporting? Paano ba yung distinction natin? Yun lang po.
Okay. Good question from Julia. Is it possible na matabunan ng kasi dumami yung mga media arm na mga politiko and so on.
And they're also part of the community na rin eh. Hindi naman
Is it
sila
possible na
isolated.
matabunan yung boses ng media sa Media Council? Tama ba?
Media Council, not Media Council but Advisory Board and even the press clubs. Yun.
So anong gusto mong gawin natin sa kanila, Tita Jules? Okay ng tawad dyan. Hindi, seryoso to. I can only speak for the Media Citizen Council, but times have changed. So mas doubling efforts natin. So this is just one initiative I'm talking about, even a mechanism. Kailangan pa rin natin pag-intingin yung practice natin. I do not know about if we are going to call out those journalists who are moonlighters, tsaka yung, alam mo yun, mga straddlers nasa gobyerno, nasa kung saan-saan, pero depende kung paano papakilala sa sarili niya. Pag nasa grupo na to, pwede pakilala ng journalist, nasa ibang grupo, ibang audience, na politiko, something. Ha? Saan kampo ka na belong doon? Oh. Hindi, seryoso naman to. If you ask me kasi, Weng, hindi naman siya matatabunan. For as long as there are, sinabi mo nga kanina dun sa colleague natin from Bangsamoro, you have to organize yourselves. The stronger the voice in the community or voice in the community, the better. Kasi sa tingin ko, again, going back the Media Citizen Council, if we send the message across to them that this initiative is to make them feel that we know our jobs better and that we're accountable for our work, for our responsibilities, for our duty, etc. And them being part, probably in one way or the other, pwede silang engage as strategic partners. They should not run any initiative down the ground. Meaning for the Media Citizen Council, klaro doon, a local government unit, a national or local government agency cannot run a Media Citizen Council so that it keeps its integrity. Tsaka also protects all the sectors there in the council. Yun lang yung parang simpleng Tita Juliet, Julie pala.
5 minutes.
Yun lang yung simpleng sagot ko.
Tama. I think she's just looking for safeguards. I think it's just important that we remember kailangan may safeguards yan para hindi kasi dumarami yung iba. Baka mamaya.
Pero you know, this is actually a challenge for the Media Citizen Councils, which are represented by the chairs here. If you want a stronger council that will keep its integrity, also protect the sectors and media there, dapat mas solidify yung code of conduct talaga, tsaka yung procedures in the council so that it cannot be swayed by a sector or by any entity that internal or external sa council.
There you go. Okay.
Quick answer lang, si Jana Villegas po ay included sa NUJP list, 195, April 15, 2022. So, nasa Duterte po siya nakasama. Pero, kasama pa rin siya dun sa dinocument natin.
Alright. Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Again, I am Zaira Kambang from BARMM. Ito po ang question ko. Pasintabi lang po sa lahat ng mga journalist na nandito. Ito ay connected kay Mr. Gentleman at the back. Yung tanong niya kung paano po ba magiging mas attractive pa yung program or yung kurso natin. Kasi technically speaking po, sa larangan ng pamamahagi ng sa pagbabalita, medyo may backlash lang po kasi tayo. Kasi pasintabi sa mga journalist, lalo na sa marami pong naiambag na malalaki at magaganda, maaari po ba kaya tayo magkaroon ng board examination sa ating course or program para lang mas, tanong lang po ha, para mas ma-emphasize or anything na pwede pang mas ma-emphasize ang kurso natin? Kasi usually po, sa realidad tatanong, ma'am, ba't pa kami mag-e-enroll dyan? Yung classmate nga namin, HRN, journo na siya. Unlike pag nurse ka, pag nag-inject ka ng IVIM, pwedeng kasuhan. Pero pag ang journo may ibang gumawa, okay lang. Ano po kaya ang pwedeng magawa natin? Kasi patagal ng patagal, medyo bumababa po yung mga nag-e-enroll. Siguro po dito sa Manila, madami pa rin mga enrollees. Pero sa ibang lugar, kagaya sa amin, medyo hindi na siya na-emphasize or naghihingala na po siya kahit papaano. Kasi nga maraming mga challenges.
Okay.
Yung sahod, yung work system, yung mga vloggers, so on and so forth. Maraming rason na medyo kaagaw ng profession po natin.
Yeah.
Maraming salamat po.
It's a question we can't avoid, pero sige po, go. It's a question we can't avoid. It's always asked naman. Sige.
Okay, this is my personal opinion. I don't think we need a board exam. I think that we can become journalists, good journalists, even without going through licensure examinations. I don't want to support any action that can be used to regulate journalism. Kasi delikado yon, diba? And this is also the reason why we have not supported other laws, supposedly for the welfare of journalists. Okay naman yung welfare of journalists, but the problem is, merong mga certain requirements and definitions of who a journalist is na delikado para sa ating lahat. So as much as possible, wag tayong sumuporta ng kahit anong aksyon na makakatulong para pigilan tayo na gawin yung trabaho natin. Yung pwedeng gamitin against us. And sadly kasi sa panahon ngayon, kahit ano pwede nilang gamitin. Like the Data Privacy Act, licensing of a network, etc. So yun yung sa akin, personal na sagot.
Let me just add to that. But my perspective to, our problem kasi with that idea, I mean, at least as far as I'm concerned, is who will do that? Government will regulate who is the journalist. We're supposed to be guarding government. Unlike the nurse is not going to be guarding government. They're not watchdogs. We are watchdogs. So if government gets to choose who becomes a journalist, then in the future, it is agreeable. Yun lang ang concern, at least from my point of view. Teka, we have 5 minutes left. Bok, banda rito kasi meron eh. Tapos takbo ko doon.
Magandang umaga po. Ako po si Luz De Leon, publisher and editor-in-chief ng Paranaque ngayon. Okay? 10 years old na kami. Actually, 50 pa. 10 years ago na kami nag-start sa aming community. Ang aming community ay well-known for civic pride. Okay? So, may environment kami na nurturing. So therefore, ang aming policy is friends with everybody, including the powers that be. Pero ang hindi namin ang hindi namin jeopardize ay yung truth. So it's truth to power. But the power can only be wielded if you are running a business organization na kaya mag-print at later magkaroon ng digital platform. Bakit ko sinabi na kailangan ng print? Because ang masa, ang ordinary people, ay walang load para mag-serve. Okay? So, ang importante sa kanila, mahawakan ang papel. At paano ito makakarating sa kanila? Merong mga specific sector sa community na hindi nyo dapat maliitin or kalimutan. Ito ay ang schools, at sa schools ay may teachers and librarians. Sa churches, may pastor, may pastoral council. Tapos, meron tayo sa mga subdivision. Kasi yun na ngayon ang mga seats of residential power. Meron tayong mga HOA. At sa mga condominiums ay meron tayong mga tenants or mga condominium owners association. These are the key sectors na kailangan tutukan ng isang job within the newspaper organization. And that is the publisher. Wala tayong nagme-mention dito ngayon, puro kayo editor-in-chief. No? Ngayon, minsan, pagtingin nyo sa publisher, ay corporate yan, media owner yan. So therefore, press freedom ay palaging kinokompromise. Siguro totoo. Kasi in a small community, tulad sa probinsya, ang mayor ang hari. He holds the purse. Okay? So lahat ng media ay nandyan sa treasury para mag-collect. AC, DC, mag-collect. So ang mangyayari dyan, you have to build your alternative base of power. At saan yun? Ang unang-una, magkano ba i-print? So, at 5,000 copies, that's 21 to 25,000. Pwera pa salaries. Okay? Kung web. No? Pero kung single, medyo mas mahal. So, ang natatakot ang iba, baka hindi natin masustain ang printing.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, please, but can we, what do you want to say? Kasi we have limited time na and we have people who also want to talk.
So,
What do you want to say?
if you want to talk, if you want to see me and I can help you publish a newspaper.
Hello?
We are on our 7th month and we believe sa pagbangon after the pandemia. And I believe that certain local communities can follow our template. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hindi, madali lang po.
Ariel, go ahead.
Hindi po hindi namin ini-itchapera yung publisher, the hardware publishers because they own the paper. Tapos kayo nag-sustain ang operations nyon. Ngayon, congratulations pala, what a friendly paper you have. I hope you got the drift. Sorry. Hindi, meron naman pong PPI. PPI takes care of its members, pero you have to be vetted, you have to be invited. Medyo maarte lang kasi as an organization, meron po kaming sinusunod na panuntunan or guidelines. It's not just about the Code of Ethics, Universal Code of Ethics, pero as an organization, meron organizational structure, meron ganon. Salamat din kung gusto nyo tumulong sa other tao or papers na magkaroon ng papers. Pero I think it's more than that. It's really higher calling now and merong mission and vision, etc. It's not just for the sake of, of having a newspaper, tapos, kailangan kumita, harness the potential, blah, blah, blah. There's more than that.
Magandang araw po. Tin po from Today PH. Napansin ko nga rin na lumawak na masyado yung parang definition ng journalist with the advent of like a lot of platforms and also the technologies. Basically, ano po ba, siguro dapat i-define natin, paano makakwalify yung isang journalist or para makasali siya sa isang samahan na maari siyang mapabilang doon at magkaroon siya ng quality ng, alam niyo na, I used to work with the PNP. I'm a retired PNP. So, I used to do community relations po. So basically now I'm a freelance and an independent journalist, I would say. I took up broadcast sa PUP. Yun, that's it. My question.
Tanungin sa sarili mo, tsaka ibang who is the journalist?
Sakto. Dapat ma-define ng maliwanag. Yan. Lalo na ngayon kasi masyado nang na-dissolve yung parang lumawak na ng lumawak, nag-evolve na po yung
Okay.
yung definition. Thank you so much.
I think journalism remains the same, no? Iba't ibang platforms ang ginagamit natin, nag-transition na yung marami sa digital. Pero we are governed by certain standards. So, meron tayong ethics, yung NUJP naglabas ng updated na ethics guide ng 2021, you can download that. Pero yung Philippine Code of Ethics, nandyan pa rin yan, no? No 1988. So yung standards natin, pareho pa rin. So kaya that's what differentiates us from the vloggers. So yung verification, fact-checking, etc. So hindi porke may hawak ng cellphone at may vlog ay journalist na. Ang importante, yung disiplina ng ating profesyon ay ginagawa.
Hindi palibasa nag-publish, journalist na.
Journalist.
Kasi lahat ngayon sa Facebook, nagpa-publish. So we're looking at standards. I think we have, actually overtime na tayo eh. Pero huling tanong, sorry, nakaka ako dito eh. May summit pa. Oo nga. So, okay, sorry. My apologies. Kailangan lumarga ng mga matatanda dito. Okay. Well, as expected, kulang tayo ng oras, but maraming salamat. Ariel Sabilino, PPI, Len, Weng, and Ana. Thank you very much for this morning. And like we said kanina, you still have a chance to talk to them. So, corner nyo ngayon din. Thank you very much, Sopran.
And thank you to Ed Lingao.
Ay, may 500, 500. may regalo ang PCIJ para sa inyo kay Talago. Okay, sige, larga. Sige. To express our appreciation for your participation in today's plenary discussion, may bulaklak at may libro. Bakit wala ako bulaklak? May libro na ako eh. Bulaklak na lang. Sige. Okay, maraming salamat. Can we have a group picture of some sort? Are you guys okay with that? Tapos habang nag-group picture, kulitin niyo sila.
Okay. We actually did not invite the usual, sorry, ako na lang mag-MC. The usual na nagko-closing remarks, diba? Kapag may mga ganitong event, you invite somebody, katulad din ng nagkikeynote. But this time, what we did, kami ni Carmela, ay pumili among the participants who will do the closing remarks. Okay. So I'm sure nininervyos na sila ngayon. We actually chose 3. One from Luzon, one from Visayas, and one from Mindanao. So unahin ko ang mula sa Mindanao, Faye. Ano to? As usual, biglaan din. Come up.
Okay po. Thank you po sa pag-ambush, no, sa akin. Ah, Ma'am Weng actually asked me kung depende sa akin na kung paano ko ibibigay yung closing remarks sa inyo. Then, it comes into my mind na mahalaga na mag-share ako ng reflection for your event natin within this past 3 days. Una, sa reflection ko is, as a journalist, no, as an individual journalist, mahalaga na bigyan natin ng importansya yung role natin sa pamamahayag dahil tungkulin natin na mabigyan ng tamang impormasyon yung ating komunidad. Pangalawa, we are responsible doon sa mga impormasyon na maibabahagi natin dahil yun ang magiging tulay para maunawaan at maintindihan ng mga tao, yung mga ordinaryong mamamayan natin, kung ano yung mga nangyayari sa loob ng gobyerno at maging sa labas ng gobyernong kinabibilangan natin. Pangatlo, nakita ko, ito ay isang moral responsibility. Bilang isang Muslim na nananampalataya din sa Islam, parte nung pamamahayag natin, yung dapat maka-Diyos din tayo. At dahil maka-Diyos tayo, dapat alam natin yung moral responsibility natin doon sa pagbibigay ng impormasyon kung saan ma-educate natin ng tama yung mga tao, lalong-lalo na yung next generations ng ating bansa. Dahil sila yung maaaring susunod na maging mamamahayag, mabuting mga writers, magagaling at mga responsableng mamamahayag ng bansa natin. Yun ang una kong reflection, Ma'am Weng. Pangalawa, tinitingnan ko paano ba mai-integrate ang investigative journalism sa platform na meron kami sa aming organization, na which is we focus on a multimedia work. Paano ba namin i-integrate ang investigative journalism sa pamamahayag namin using different means of delivering services through sa pagsusulat ng mga articles, paano sa paggamit ng ibang format kagaya ng video documentary para mas makapagbigay kami ng tamang kaalaman yung term na binanggit nung first day ni Ma'am Carmela. The only term actually na tumatak sa isip ko, yung sabi niyang the accuracy sa pagbigay ng impormasyon. Dahil yun ay kaakibat o nakalagay din mismo sa slogan ng aming organization. If you look into the Bangsamoro Multimedia Media Network page, makikita ninyo yung nakabalandra na slogan namin, your access to accurate, reliable, and true information. And for me, my final reflection on our slogan is napakabigat pala yung aming pasanin, dinadala na responsibilidad. And that is why, nireflect ko as a journalist, very challenging yung moral responsibility namin para ma-deliver kung anong dapat na maibigay na tamang impormasyon sa mga tao. Maraming salamat po.
Next, RJ. Okay ka na? RJ is from Iloilo, Daily Guardian.
Dito mo pumunta sa taas. Okay. So, anong oras na ba? Good morning. So, good morning everyone. So, to our esteemed audience, maayong aga. I am RJ Zariaga Castor from Daily Guardian in Iloilo City. So, ayan. So, I know others here were invited through email. Pero on my end, I'm here because I registered. Kasi inopen ng PCIJ yung application. And kakagaling ko lang ng event ng PPI last week. Then, I was eager enough to join here. Kasi sabi ko, sayang naman if I go back to Iloilo City agad, na hindi mapuntahan to. So, I registered sa application. And lucky enough, I was selected na makapunta dito. This is actually my first ever workshop or conference about investigative journalism. And the third event I've attended with PCIJ. So when I asked in the application why it is important for me to have this event or to join this event, I stated that pursuing an investigative journalism is a long-held dream of mine, but I feel like I lack the knowledge and the skills to pursue it because investigative journalism is another animal compared to just submitting stories at the end of the day with your editorial time. So yun yung sabi ko, I have to be here. I need to be here. So Ma'am Weng told me yesterday that I was the last person to register from over 100 applications it received. And I am beyond grateful that I was selected. So in the registration area, may mga binibigay sila na stickers. Square stickers, marami sila actually. So I glanced upon this quote which says, "The more you know, the stronger you become." And in one of these stickers available in the registration area, that particular quote resonates with me. So throughout the past three or 4 days, I've been immersed in a wealth of knowledge and insights shared by industry experts and fellow journalists. Each session has expanded my understanding of investigative reporting, and it provided me with new tools and perspective to approach complex stories. The more you know, the stronger you become serves as a constant reminder of the importance of continuous learning and growth in the pursuit of truth and justice to journalism. So again, Madam Ulit nga salamat PCIJ. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is a one for the books experience. Madam Ulit salamat.
Okay. Last. Ito yung pinakabata. Sana may gitara eh. Alam nyo, ano to eh, music major. Kaya lang, ngayon nandito siya as a journalist. So, Dem to Anda of Palawan News.
Maraming salamat, Weng. Ang request ni Weng ay closing remarks. So, let me dispense with the mandatory closing remarks. Maraming salamat po sa ating lahat na nag-participate sa conference na ito. I would describe it as a milestone in Philippine journalism. And I think that's not overstating it. This is an important gathering. Maraming salamat sa lahat sa inyong participation. Especially maraming salamat sa organizers. Ang alam ko lang tatlo sila Weng. Nakalimutan ko ng banggitin lahat, so I will not be giving justice. Palakpakan na lang natin ang PCIJ. And congratulations for a well-organized conference. We separate ways this afternoon. I think some of us are, or most of us, will be joining another conference. But I think the important takeaway in the past 3 days is, as I mentioned earlier, we should all be proud to be part of this milestone in Philippine journalism. Napaka-yaman, napaka-significant as a journalist for every one of us. And it has always been, in my case, it has always been a learning experience. We part ways with a new sense of vigor and determination, and unearth the story that needs to be told, to paraphrase Howie, in proper light, and using critical tools and critical thinking, and maybe even critical tools like AI that suddenly presented to us as a challenge, both as a danger sign and as a challenge, and we are bravely confronting it and making use of it even. I think all of us have gained some insights on how to cope with this phenomenon and these trends. And I'm sure, for me at least, conferences like this have served as parang clutch mechanism, so that when I go back to my own newspaper, I bring with me very fresh ideas on how we can improve investigative reporting in our own respective communities. So with that, thank you again for all your participation, and we hope to see you again next year.
Next year daw. Hindi pa kami nakapahinga nun. So, maraming salamat, Faye. Maraming salamat kay RJ. Maraming salamat kay Demto. Ngayon, bago ang pinakahihintay na group photo, dalawang bagay. Una is an announcement that PCIJ is accepting proposals for investigative stories. Out of the participants nitong conference, we will be accepting 5 proposals that will be funded and also supported through editorial mentoring, securing of some documents that will be necessary for the stories. So kung sino yung gusto, you can just email. What's the email? Okay. So we will send you the details. Lahat naman ng emails nyo nasa amin. And last, para dito sa artworks, can we call Luigi? Meron pa bang idadagdag sa ating live art? Ayun. Shucks. Kakatapos lang. So, ano pa yan? Basa-basa?
Ayun. Explain ko ba isa-isa? Ang dami. Start tayo dito sa... Hello? Narinig ba? Hello? Okay. Hello? Yo, yo, yo. Hello. Okay. So, hello. Ako si Luigi, ang graphic artist ng PCIJ. So, tatlo kami nag-paint. Pakilala ko muna si Christian Asoy mula sa UP Artist Circle at si Jed mula sa Sulong Likha. Yes. Mga kagrupo ko rin sa Sulong Likha at AC. Kaya dinala ko sila dito. Ayun. Mag-start muna tayo sa isang breakout session. Yun, geopolitics and security. Ayun. So yun, lahat naman tayo aware dun sa sa issue sa West Philippine Sea. Okay. Angat na natin, sorry. Ayun. So, ayun, kada kasi may breakout session, kumukuha lang kami ng isang gist o kaya pinaka-okay na angulo na pwedeng mag-summarize. No? So, dito parang nakuha namin doon kasi yung parang yung mga galunggong nagaling lang din sa mismong dagat natin. Binibili natin sa China. So, pero sa atin naman talaga yun. So, parang parang ano din, parang binibili natin yung produkto na galing din sa sariling ano natin, sa sariling dagat natin. So, parang ito yung nakikiplanggana lang sila kumbaga. So, yun. Self-explanatory naman siguro yung ibang part. So, yan. Yan. Okay na yan kasi marami pa. Next. Anti-corruption and good governance. Ito medyo nahirapan kasi ako kumuha nung saktong gist niya kasi puro data, tsaka mga jargon, tsaka may na rin ako sa math. Ayun, so parang nakuha akong gist niya yung di porkit meron kang budget, you have the money. So iba yung budget do sa money. Yung budget kasi ano siya, mas yung plano kung paano gastusin yung pera. So yung nilagay ko dito, so yung mismong cash, yung mismong money, parang mas onti siya dun sa mismong budget, yung mismong plano. So, yun lang. Gano'n siya simple. Ayan. So, next. Gender lens. Ito, yung kinuhala naming angle, yung kasi merong unang talk about sa innovation of journalism. So, in-incorporate namin yung unang plenary dun sa breakout session na to. So, yung ano tawag dito? Yung gender lens, meron dun yung mga libro na nailimbag dati. Kasama dun yung Press Freedom Under Siege. Tapos, naisip namin na nailagay siya sa isang phone parang sa TikTok na dahil nga mas madali, mas marami yung, mas wider yung audience niya. Parang what if kung i-share siya sa TikTok para mas makita ng mga kabataan ngayon na tawag dito. Na ito yung totoong history kasi syempre ngayon usong-uso yung yung historical revisionism. So, ayun. Parang gano'n lang siya basically yung image. So, yun. Next tayo. Ito yung sa drug war. And, tapos natin siya. Ayan. Okay ba? Ay, sige. Ayan. So, yun sa drug war, nakuha namin angle doon yung kung hindi ka magpaparehab, itotokan ka. So, yung nakuha namin yung parang revolver na may dalawang klaseng bala. Yung bala ng barrel or yung pills. So, yun. Parang ginawa lang namin image yung quote na yun. Ayan. So, yun. Next. Ilas na lang natin siguro. Okay. Yep. Last. Ito yung sa BARM. So magkakaroon ng unang-unang election na nasa parliament na system. Tapos ang takeaway namin doon yung ang election na under parliament under parliament system ay isa rin siyang presence din ng peace dun sa lugar. So yung pagbukas ng elections doon lumabas yung dove, which is yung representation ng peace. Yan. Yes, next. Ayan. Ito yung kanina lang sa press freedom. Kasi ang nakuha namin nun yung attacks on journalists. So, yun. Madali naman siya siguro maintindihan. may bullets na nakabara doon sa susulatan ng journalist. So, ano siya, kumbaga may choice siya na pwede niyang banggain yung mismong mga bala at ituloy yung pagsusulat o huminto. Parang gano'n na siya. Ayun. Yung isa, tapos na ba yan? Gets na? Ayun, yung isa hindi pa tapos. Sorry. Pero pwede na siyang ipakita muna. Ayun. Ayun. Tungkol siya sa pag-shutdown ng mga channels. So, yun. Pag tinanggal ba? Pwede na ba tanggalin ito? Di pa. Ayun. So, yung kinuha namin yung mic as a symbol of journalism. Tapos, yung wire niya ay magkakat. Plano dyan, mapuputol yun eh. Tapos, pag-shutdown yung lifeline. So, yun lang. Yun lang po. Salamat.
Thank you, Luigi. Pag nawala ng pondo ang PCIJ, magpapabid kami ng mga artwork. Ay, ganun, dollars daw. Okay, so thank you sa ating mga artists. Isang siya, no? It's another important part of the activity. Tapos, even long before, after this, maalala namin kayo dahil sa mga artworks nila, Luigi. Next, we will be flashing the QR code for the evaluation. So, pakisagutan na lang. Yung hindi sumagot, we will hound you. So, kailangan lang namin yung evaluation so that we can improve and see what else can be done for the next IJcon and the next activities of PCIJ. So yun, download nyo and then do the evaluation. And now we can do pero pwedeng pakitabi natin ang mga artwork. Oo, yan ay basa-basa pa daw. Tapos, paano ang setup? I need Mark. Kayo magsabi paano ang forma ng mga tao. Pag ano na lang ba o mahirap?